Welcome to the Kingspiration Podcast. This is the place where you'll learn how to get unstuck and gain momentum in your life and business. Each week, we tackle the real aspects of entrepreneurship, personal development, relationships, and fitness. I'm your co-host, Ethan King from Atlanta, Georgia, USA, entrepreneur, TEDx speaker, and best-selling author of Wealth Beyond Money.
And I'm your co-host, Justin King, no relation to Ethan, from Cape Town, South Africa, entrepreneur, speaker, and business growth strategist. Our journey crosses continents and cultures, sharing wisdom and experiences to propel you forward. Welcome to Kingspiration. Let's start the conversation.
All right. So on today's episode, Justin has a goal that he shared with me that I think I told me to share with all of you guys. But it's not necessarily the goal, but it's also the philosophy behind it, the reason behind it. It left me super inspired. So Justin, why don't you tell us what you have going on here?
The problem is once I share it, then I feel like I'm going to be held to it. So I'll just keep it to myself.
There we go. Now you're going to do it. Let's go.
Yeah. So I absolutely have. And it is. It's a real goal. But I've challenged myself to run a 100-mile race before I turn 41. So I said that I would do it in my 40th year. So essentially I've got exactly a year, just about exactly a year from now until I turn 40. So roughly just under 2 years to really train and complete a 100-miler, really. But I would love to do it as close to my 40th birthday as I possibly can. So kind of a year from now, the idea would be to be lacing up my shoes and doing fun on 100 miles. And the thought process behind that is to do something that's really going to challenge myself, take me to some pretty dark places, but all with the ultimate idea of learning something about myself, something really deeper, something more. How far can I go? How far can I push myself emotionally, physically? Where this idea stems from is I came across the concept of a Misogi. Do you think it is pronounced Misogi, Ethan, or do you think it's Misogi? Yeah. It must be Misogi. Japanese. Misogi.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Misogi because it reminds me of Mr. Miyagi from the Karate Kid. So, yeah. M-I-S, what is it? M-I-S-O-G-I?
That's it. It's M-I-S-O-G-I. And this concept of a Misogi or Misogi challenge is to do something so incredibly an incredibly tough physical challenge at least once a year. So essentially something physically demanding that you ordinarily wouldn't be able to finish. So a 100-miler is up there with a Misogi. Or for somebody who is really, I'm going to say, not in a great physical space currently, maybe coming off the back of an injury or a lot more overweight than I'd like to be and very, very unfit. It may be doing a 5-kilometer walk on a Saturday morning. I know globally there's a park run, which is a huge thing. So competing like a regular park run on the weekend may be something. But it's just this idea of challenging yourself to something physically demanding that you're really going to have to apply your mind to get across the line. It's going to be uncomfortable. But by doing that, you set yourself up for the rest of the year. Like, I did that. That was hard. I had probably no right to do it, but I got it across the line and cheaper. That's amazing. If I put my mind to something, I can actually do it. And that can translate into a lot of the other areas of your life as well. Had you heard of the concept before we started chatting about it?
No, I hadn't heard of that concept, but I love it. It has me pumped up. I'm wondering, like, what's going to be my Misogi for this year? It doesn't have to be at the beginning of the year, right? I mean, it's just like, what it does for your confidence, right? It totally takes you to another place and you feel like you can conquer anything in your life. I remember after I finished my first marathon, I felt that. It's like, oh man, I did it. I still feel that way. It's like, come on, I can't believe I ran 26 miles. And, there are a bunch of marathoners out there. So it's different for different people because you're talking about running 100-miler. And I think you were talking about doing it, not even just a race, but on a trail, right? Which makes it even more insane because, how long does something like that even take? Is it a whole day or something?
Oh, at least probably 24 hours. You're probably looking at 24 hours to do that race.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. And as you say, the majority of these are actually trail running events as well. So there's a lot of motivation. There's a technical aspect to it. You're running through the nights. There's isolation. So, the 100-miler, it's tough. Incredibly tough. Yeah. And as I say, will challenge you in a lot of ways. But a lot of people, and this is the beautiful thing about it. Somebody's 100 miles carries. some people who have easily completed these 100 meters, they can do 250-mile races. That is incredible.
What?
It's like the Moab, and it's called the Moab 240, which is a 240-mile race. And
Oh,
when you start working that out, and for South African listeners, it's what? It's 1.6 kilometers per mile. So 100 is 160 kilometers. 250 miles is close to 500 kilometers where they just go and they sleep deprived. It's unbelievable how far the human, I mean, you can push the human body and you can push the human mind. And the majority of the time, it just becomes mind over anything else. So again, that's really taking it to an extreme. I'm certainly nowhere near to it. I don't have any right to be speaking about it. I'm setting myself a goal of doing. And I think working up to that, I'm absolutely going to find some smaller Misogis for myself. And probably one of the first is going to be finishing a 50K. I've done some ultra marathons in the past, but I haven't been training as much as I should have. Right now, I shouldn't be able to do that, but I'm going to say, geez, one weekend, you just got to put your mind to it and you're going to go and finish that. And let's get it across the line. That's going to set me up with that confidence, which is a great word that you used earlier, to really move towards the goal. And hopefully that will spill into other areas of life as well.
You know, mental toughness is one of the greatest things you can have. I tell my kids all the time, because they're into sports, you know, basketball, soccer, volleyball, and really all it's 90% mental. Like, yeah, you have to have the skills and the practice and the muscle memory. But when you're on the field in the game, it's what's in your head, because you got the crowd distracting you, the other team, people around, you know, your own voices in your head that might tell you can't do it. So whether you're playing golf or whatever it is, it's a mental game. So even you running that 100-mile trail run, like you're already aware going into it, it's in your head. If other people have done it physically that are, you know, of your same stature, then you know you can do it physically. It's just, can you do it mentally? So you've inspired me to find my Misogi for the year as well. Real quick, I was watching this guy who ran the Antarctica marathon. Have you heard of that? Yeah. And it's a reel on Instagram if somebody wants to look it up. I don't remember who the guy was, but he talked about how as he was running and his feet would sweat, the water would freeze around his socks. So he's basically like running on, he's got ice, frozen feet. He's running on ice. Can you imagine how painful that is? And he said, yeah, some of the other people who ran the race would stop and dry off and change out their socks, put on dry socks and shoes, and then go back at it. But he just pushed through the pain and thawed out at the end, which I just think that's absolutely insane. I was a mix between like inspired, like, oh man, yeah, I want to do it. But, and then the other half of me was like, there's no way I will ever do anything like this. It sounds absolutely insane.
There's somebody who's just completed a full Ironman. Either, I think it was in the Arctic or Antarctic, somewhere. The first person to complete full Ironman. So again, I think a lot of us and a lot of people will look at them and be like, why the hell would you want to do that? That must be so unpleasant. There's a guy by the name of Russ Cook. He's an Englishman. He ran from the tip of Africa all the way. I'm trying to think. He's running full west coast of South Africa, all the way to the top of Africa, something like 1,000 kilometers. And he calls himself the hardest user. I think he's about 6 or 7,000, well, maybe not about 6,000 kilometers into this journey. And the things that he is enduring, if he's running an ultra marathon every single day, I mean, he's been held up at gunpoint, at knife point, he's got blisters all over his feet, he's had malaria, all these things. And he's doing it for charity. So there's a big part of that, which is a big part of it. But he's also doing it to prove something to himself. And man, to have accomplished what he has done already, the man has had to dig seriously deep. It's inspirational. It's crazy, but it's crazy inspirational as well.
Yeah. Well, guys, what is your Misogi? I challenge everyone listening to this to figure out what your Misogi is for the year or for the quarter, but let's all push ourselves to do something physically challenging that we don't think we'll be able to do. And then when we pull it off, see your life go to the next level.
Get out there and get moving. That's the starting point. Get out there and get moving.
That's a wrap for today's episode of Kingspiration. We hope this conversation sparked insights to ignite action in your life and business.
We're on this journey together, sharing our challenges and successes to help all of us take the next step towards building momentum and ultimately reaching our goals.
If you found value in today's episode, please share it with someone else who might benefit and leave us a 5-star review.
And remember to hit subscribe so you don't miss out on our weekly conversations. Until next time, keep rolling, keep growing, and keep being inspired.